hope this works. I hope this is recording. Actually, just let me check. I think I can check this. So I'm just gonna, yeah, we're recording and we're good to go. So thank you for those of you who have jumped on live here, and oh, we'll go back a slide, I think. Don't know how to do that, that's okay. Have jumped on live and are here for our live Zoom where we're talking about how to make teaching that little bit easier. And if you have showed up today, fantastic. And if you're watching this a bit later, I really appreciate that too, because it's just a really chaotic time right now. I get that with coronavirus and everything that's going on. So if you have taken a moment to give to yourself to learn a little bit more about how we can make teaching that little bit easier, then good on you. So just with our check-in as part of that, I just want you to think, you know, if you could use one word right now to describe how you're feeling, what would that be? I think it's really important we check in with ourselves and we give ourselves that time to stop and pause, and we don't often do it, and we certainly do not do it when things are as crazy as they are right now. So thank you for those who have done that and are really here in this space to learn. So one of the things that we are going to unpack is how we can make teaching easier. And it's kind of funny because I think, you know, we get asked this question like, can it be easier? And the answer is yes. But is it easy? No, it's not an easy job at all. So for those of you who are graduate teachers, which is most of you who are jumping on here and you're in your first year of teaching, oh my goodness, is teaching easy? Absolutely not. Like, anything can happen. And I think one of the things that we find ourselves doing as teachers is, because we know it's not an easy job, we tend to make the easy things even harder. Now, we've kind of lost touch as teachers in terms of keeping it simple, because there are so many extended pressures on us that when it comes to making teaching easier, we feel like we have to make it really hard. So I don't know, like, what happened for this to happen. I think, well, I do know. I think like curriculum's just become more demanding and there's so much more for us to do, and we've got technology and classrooms are becoming more diverse, and okay, so there are a few reasons, right? But, you know, come on, like, I think as teachers, we can really get together and help strip it back, help make it that little bit easier, and that's what we're going to do here. So for those of you in your first few years of teaching, one thing I think is really important to know is your first few years in the classroom are by far the hardest. So it might not feel easy right now at all, but I promise you that as you go through teaching that little bit more and you're able to kind of understand a bit more about what teaching is, it does get easier. You know, you learn. If you're a year 3 teacher, you learn the curriculum. If you're a year 9 science teacher, you learn the curriculum. So you know what to teach and when to teach and what works and what doesn't work. And when you teach it next year, it'll be easier. I always joked about how when I was a teacher, so I taught in classrooms for 8 or 9 years before I went into leadership, about how I never had the opportunity to teach the same year twice in a row. I went from year 6 down to year 1, then I went to year 2, then I went back to a year 1, and then I went over to London and I taught kindergarten somewhere, and I taught year 3, and then I did internal relief when I went to London. So I was teaching a bit of everything all the time for 6 months before I went back to year 4, and then I went down to year 3 again and up to year 6. And I never had the opportunity to teach the same year twice. And that was really tricky. It was really it was difficult, because I think the first year is like, what am I doing? The second year, you've done it before, so you know the tweaks to make. And the third year, you're like, this is easy now. But you have to get the opportunity to be able to teach the same year twice. For some of us, we don't get that. But there are certain skills and tricks of the trade and things you can have up your sleeve, which you can take with you, which will help to make the job easier. So, you know, I would suggest getting a bunch of go-to games that you can use in any situation that are helpful. Maths games, literacy games, word games, icebreaker games, social games, whatever that might be. games that you can draw on when you feel you need to either have a break in your classroom, when you're teaching a lesson and you're like, this is not how I planned it, when a lesson finishes earlier and you need to fill a gap, or, you know, maybe you're starting a lesson and then the fire alarms go off and you come back and you've only got 15 minutes before break. And so a game is a good thing to have up your sleeve. So, you know, that can help make it easier, just to know that you're confident that if things don't go to plan, you've got a solution. Have a few tricks. I think that's really important. You know, teaching is a bit like working out in a sense, that you've got to build your muscle memory around that. So don't be too hard on yourself in the first year. If you go to teach a lesson on how you multiply fractions and it all falls apart, it's absolutely okay. Teaching is really hard, and teaching something that kids find hard is harder. I think there are some things along the way. Time is one of them. Oh my goodness. Kids can either tell the time or they can't, and you will learn this. And kids either can learn to tell the time really easily, or they just struggle with it for what feels like forever. And then one day they get it. I don't know how. It's something that all teachers know. Time is really hard, and some kids get it and some kids don't. So don't put so much pressure on yourself if there are some things that you just find kids aren't getting when you teach. What you have to do is provide yourself with an opportunity to take that feedback on. Did I teach it well? Did I miss something? Did I not get to that kid in time? And you'll learn that as you go through each day. You'll learn that as you get to know your students. You'll learn that as you get to know the curriculum better. You'll learn it as you get to know different teaching strategies and different teaching approaches and different ways to tackle stuff. So to answer this question I've got here, is it easy? Yeah, it can be super easy. It absolutely can be easier. But is it overall an easy job? It's not an easy job. How could teaching be easy? But we can make it easier, right? So let's have a look. You know, one of the things that is essential to making this job easier is getting organised. And I talk about this quite a lot. We have a whole module dedicated to it in one of our Real School Academy programs for our graduate teachers. And I think I've got a typo in that thing there. Making teaching, that doesn't say teaching. Sorry about that. That is like a teacher thing, isn't it? And you know what? Whenever you have a mistake, your students will tell you. They will be the first ones to put their hand up and be like, Miss, there's a spelling error. But if you ask them to find an error in their own work, they can't find it and they will swear black and blue it's not there. So be prepared for that. I always think and would laugh with my students, you know, they're so much better at finding my mistakes, but their own don't seem to exist. So if you have a mistake in something, your kids will tell you, don't worry about it. So organisation, right? I think we underestimate how much this does for us. There are certain successful people who swear by organising as much as they can, making a decision and making it once, and knowing that it'll work and not changing their mind, because it means they have more time and space in their brain to do other stuff. So often we think about organisation in terms of filing papers and having our desk neat and knowing where stuff goes, and that is certainly one part of it. But organisation is also about knowing how you're going to manage your time and what you're going to do in certain chunks of the day, and what you're going to do in your lunch breaks, and what does your before and after school look like, and what does your morning and evening routine look like. You see, the more we are organised with stuff that we can control, the more space we have to deal with the chaos of teaching. But if you've used all your decision-making capacity, because as humans we only have a certain amount, if you've used all of your decision-making capacity before you even get to school, because you've had to decide what to eat for breakfast, decide what to wear, decide what you're going to take in for lunch, decide what you're going to teach because you haven't organised that well enough and so you're still fiddling with resources, decide how you're going to organise your day because you don't know whether we're going to do reading first or maths first or whatever. Like, my goodness, you're already exhausted by the time you get to school. So when you're in a class situation, you have to make a decision about learning. You have to make a decision about whether or not to keep teaching or do a mini lesson because kids aren't getting it, or you have to make a decision at 6 o'clock about what to eat at night. You can't do it because you've spent too much effort and energy making little decisions. So ask yourself, what can you do to make decisions about now? How can you get organised on that? And how can you do it so that it works for you and frees you up time elsewhere? You see, organisation isn't just about being organised. It's about having systems and structures in place so that you can work efficiently, and so that overall it helps how successful you are throughout the day. So get organized, you know, look at your life. Where am I not organized? Where am I organized? Is this a problem for me? Am I on top of it? Am I too organized? Like, don't be so organized that you can't let go. Because one of the things that we can't control as a teacher is the unpredictableness of classrooms. You know, fire drills happen, downpours of rain happen and roofs leak. Kids have altercations on the playground and they bring them into your classroom, and you've got to manage that. A parent can turn up with puppies and all of a sudden they're in your classroom and you've got to stop everything. So yeah, be organized, but don't be so organized that you can't let stuff go either. Okay, so that's one thing. Let's have a look at the next. Oh, okay, expectations. One of the things we can do to help make teaching easier is manage our expectations. We often come in thinking that we're going to be this teacher and that teacher, and our classroom is going to work this way and that way, and we're going to have this happen, and this display is going to be right, and my things are going to be organized like this, and my students are going to do this, and I'm going to ask this question, and my kids are going to answer that. That never happens, by the way. You can ask whatever questions you like, and then the responses you get from your students will just blow your mind. So you've got to be able to manage your expectations. So I think there are so many stories. One of the things that really does come to mind is when you are teaching something to kindergarten. Kindergarten kids are amazing, 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, hilarious. So you could be teaching a lesson to kindergarten and you could be talking about how we use capital letters and full stops, and you might ask a question, where does a capital letter go? And a lovely little cherub will put their hand up and you think you're going to get the answer you want, and they will say to you, I love your dress. Now, compliments are great, don't get me wrong, but they're not always what you want, right? They're not, like, you just can't always manage the expectations that you have around how this lesson is going to work out, because it doesn't. And that's okay. I think one of the other pressures we are facing now with teachers and new graduates like yourself coming into the profession is that there's a whole social media thing which hasn't always existed, and now I see teachers on Pinterest and on Instagram and, you know, even in Facebook groups trying to kind of like keep up with the Joneses in a way and compete in that space. Or you're looking at a teacher next door to you and you're thinking, I need to do that. That needs to be me. It doesn't. You need to set your own expectations in regards to your own reality. You see, everyone has a different version of reality, what works for them based on their experiences, based on their understanding of life, based on their circumstances, based on their beliefs and their values and their systems. So your reality is different to someone else's and their reality is different to yours. Sorry, I've got a hair on my nose. So your expectations need to build on what is real for you. You need to know where you want to go. You need to kind of give yourself a little bit of a break too. I think part of the reason we overcomplicate teaching is because we want to do everything now, and we want to do everything really well, and we want to do everything absolutely like to gold star standard. It is not realistic for anyone. So you've got to know what is manageable for you and what isn't. That's really a big part of making this easier. Now, what comes with that is setting goals. I'm a big believer in goals because I think it helps people move forward, and I think it helps people avoid Groundhog Day. Have you ever seen, probably, like if you're first year, probably not, so I'm going to change that. Think back to a teacher who you had in primary school or secondary school. You know that old teacher everyone knew, and you're like, I want that teacher, I need that teacher. My sister had her, my brother had her, my parents had him as a teacher. And so you have to have that teacher too. Now that teacher has been there for however long, teaching the same thing, doing the same lesson. You go home and tell your parents about this lesson you had, and one of your parents said that they had the same lesson too. Teaching can become Groundhog Day. And I think that what we need to do is we need to step out of that and understand that teaching is about continually growing and improving. Dylan Willem has a fantastic quote which I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something along the lines of, if every teacher understands that continuous improvement is about because we can be even better, not because we're not good enough, then imagine what education will look like. Having a goal isn't a deficit. Setting a goal isn't because you're not doing well enough. Having someone work with you on professional goals isn't about not being a good teacher. It's about knowing that you can move forward and be even better, just like we teach our kids, right? Just like we teach our students. There's no end point. I'm going to tell you right now with teaching, there is no end point. You will never get gold medal. You will never stand on the podium and tick that box and think you're done, because there's always something else to do. So this is the thing. There is always something else to do, but what you can't do is all of it all at once right now. And this is what I see with a lot of first year teachers, is that you want to do everything and all of it all at once right now. And oh my God, like I just have to do this, this, and this. And then my school wants me to do this. And I learned about this at uni and I want to do. And I read this book at the holidays that I want to do. And I saw this on Pinterest that I want to do. And then I saw this other teacher do this on Instagram and I'm going to do that. And I want to implement this. And whoa, slow down. Because here's the thing. You can't do everything and do it well. You'll just be doing everything kind of mediocre. So pick one thing and do it well. And when you do that, I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I can do right now that's going to help learning in my classroom and me as a teacher? And make that the goal, right? Make that the goal and just really work on that. And know that, you know, in your classroom right now, you're going to work on teaching your students to work in groups. Why? Because when they do it right now, they think it's a time for a social gathering and it's not. And you know that if you can teach your students to work in groups, you can do a whole more collaborative work, and that's in line with your teaching philosophy. Or maybe your goal is to improve the way you take formative assessment every day. Why? Because you remember that one time on prac where you were with that teacher and it was around report writing time and they went into absolute and complete meltdown because they hadn't collected enough data, and then all of a sudden, instead of teaching for a week, you were testing for a week so that you could get data to write reports. You just don't think that that's good practice. And so you're going to work on collecting data each day so that when it comes to writing reports, you have a whole bunch of stuff, not just one thing. So, you know your goals, know how they're going to support you, know how they're going to support your students. You might even have some goals for like outside of the classroom. Like when I talked about organization, maybe you're not sleeping and so you need to implement a nighttime routine to help you sleep. So maybe you're going to work on no devices after 8 p.m. You're going to work on having some chill out time from 8 to 8:30, watching something funny on TV, playing a game, doing a puzzle. Then you're going to work on Then you're going to add in reading a book, and you're going to drink herbal tea, and then you're going to get your body ready for bed so you can sleep. Also talk about that in the self-care thing in one of our modules, really important. So, have goals that you know are going to impact the way you carry out each day to make teaching easier. One thing at a time, one thing well, one thing that's going to impact learning in your classroom and you as a teacher. Once you've done that, add on the next and the next and the next, because it's never, ever finished. Now, I don't mean ever finished like it's exhausting and the worst thing in the world. It's actually quite exciting to know that you can always be improving practice. So I guess it's not about never, ever finishing. It's about knowing that we can improve our practice each time. So that's cool, right? What are your goals? You got to work on that. Let's see what else we got in here. Oh, I think this is the last one. Self-care. So, oh my goodness, right now with what's going on around coronavirus and things, how important is your self-care? I think sometimes it takes moments like this for us to realize that looking after ourselves is really important. There's certain unofficial research done around school holidays when it comes to teachers, and often what happens is teachers push and push and push and they get through the term, and as soon as holiday time comes, they get sick. Because we play this game of, I'll do it when, I'll do it when, I'll do it when, I'm nearly there, I'm nearly there, I'm nearly there, I can make it, I can make it, I can make it. And so you push your body to extremes by working ridiculous hours, by still having a crazy social life, by not stopping on the weekends, by going into work on the weekends as well, by having your emails on all the time. And you think that you can just push through and get to this point, and then by the time holidays come, your body is like, oh my God, we made it. Like, I didn't think we'd make it. We made it. And then, blah, 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 blah. And then because you're so stressed and your cortisol is so high, your body's like, germs come at me, and you can't fight them because you're too exhausted. And this is why we find teachers get sick at certain points in the year as well, because it's exhaustion. And when you're exhausted, any bit of overwhelm or stress you have means that your body can't fight it because it's trying to fight the stress instead. So when it comes to self-care, I'm going to say this. Your self-care and your well-being is no one else's responsibility except yours. And I know that there is a lot of talk out there about how schools need to be doing more, and I 100% agree with that, and I'm an advocate for that, and I will support it. But I also think that you know you best. You know what self-care looks like for you. So my best friend is a teacher, and I adore her. And every day in the holidays before school goes back, so if it's like the Friday before the weekend, she has 2 little kids, so the Friday before the weekend when they're in daycare, or the Monday if she, whatever, you get what I'm saying, before kids start. I don't know why I made that so complicated. She will stay at home and get all her favorite food and close all the blinds so like daylight doesn't exist, and watch Netflix and whatever it is she's watching, and I don't know, do her thing. And that is her self-care before school starts. And it is like routine for her. It is a ritual. She knows that it's happening. I could not think of anything worse. If it is the last day of holidays, I will be outside. I will be walking. I will be getting fresh air. I will be reading. I will be going for a coffee. I will be like just enjoying the outdoors and the sunshine and the fresh air. And I can barely even get through an hour episode of something, let alone a whole day. But my point is, self-care is very different for people, and you need to decide what it looks like for you, and you need to find a way to make it work. So schedule that in. Now, don't just wait until the one day before school goes back and like think, it's not like you can like max it all in one spot. It has to be done consistently and continually. So a little bit of something every day really does help. You know, plan it in. Learn to say no to 1,000 social events a week if you are exhausted. You know, that sometimes self-care is doing the hard stuff. It's saying no. It's doing meal prep on the weekend so that your food is prepped and you don't have to think about what you're having for breakfast, lunch, or dinner because it's taken care of. And so that's one less decision you have to make. And, you know, you're going to give up 2 or 3 hours on a weekend to do that. It's going to the gym or moving or doing some kind of exercise before school starts or before the day starts or before your kids get up, because you know that that's really good for you. It's saying no to sitting on the couch and watching TV at 4:30 in the afternoon, because you know that moving makes you feel better, because you know that reading is more valuable, because you know that by doing a puzzle, or clearly I'm into puzzles at the moment. I bought one and it's taking me forever to do. I also am into macrame. I've made one thing and a cushion cover, but anyway, like a hobby. Okay, so like it's better for you than just doing nothing, but it's hard to get moving as you're so tired. I get it. So know what self-care looks like for you and schedule that in, and know that it's on you, because it is. You know, the other thing, in one of our courses I talk about the 4 pillars, which is about drinking water, it's about sleep, it's about nutrition and knowing what you're putting into your body, and it's about moving. Like, they're essentials, guys, daily essentials. If you're not drinking water, you need to do that. Actually, I heard a great tip the other day. So I have oh God, I hit myself on the face. It's for your entertainment. I have a 1 litre bottle. And I know that I drink like a lot of water, like 5 litres of water a day. And someone was saying that they were having difficulty keeping up count, like knowing how many times you fill your water bottle up. I think at school it's really easy thing to do, because you can just drink 1 before you start teaching, drink 1 in your first session, have 1 at first break, have 1 at second break, and then after school, like that's 5 litres easy. Acknowledging you do have to train your bladder, real teacher thing. But someone was saying they don't know how much water they're drinking, and now that I am working in this role, I struggle a bit because my life for the first time ever isn't defined by bells, which is a whole another thing. Anyway, so drink a litre of water, put a rubber band around it, drink a litre, put a rubber band around it. So every time you drink a litre, you put a rubber band around, and that's a great way to keep track. Don't know if that was useful, but I thought it was really good. Haven't done it though, but need to. Anyway, so, you know, those 4 pillars: moving, sleeping, eating the right food, and drinking water. Like, It sounds so simple, and I'm sure some of you are rolling your eyes, but if it was that simple, there wouldn't be a whole movement towards it. There wouldn't be dedicated social media platforms towards it. It wouldn't be having to be written in policies in workplaces. You know, it's an issue, and you need to look after yourself and breathe. You know, like 10 deep breaths does some wonders for us on so many levels. It's not just about keeping us calm. It does help to reduce stress. It helps to connect mind and body. It helps to, like, you know, you're breathing air into your stomach, and then you're connecting with your gut, and there's it's just so many things. So give yourself the time and space to do that. All right, let's see. That's it. So what did we talk about? We talked about how, is teaching easy? No, but can it be easier? Yeah, it can. You know, organization, expectations, goals, self-care. They're the things I really think that if you start there can help to make this job easier. So if you've just watched this and you're like, I can't do all of that, and that's exhausting, pick one thing, and do it slowly, you know, drip feed this into your teacher life. You're not going to be amazing at everything all at once. No one ever is. I mean, if you know that person, good on them. But we're not. It's just not how we are. It's not who we are. So pick one thing and know that this is a journey. And every year I get better at something. Every year I learn that I've got to work on something. Every year is a learning and teaching year for myself. And I think as teachers, we need to do that too. So this was an opportunity for you to get to know myself and a bit about what Real Schools Academy looks like. And I've given you an insight into that. We have 6 courses designed for graduate teachers under our graduate faculty. Each of those lasts for 6 weeks. They have 6 modules. It's about helping you start your teaching career. It's about helping you with self-care and well-being. It's about helping you with classroom culture and restorative practice. It's about helping with teaching and learning. It's about everything. You know, it is like everything they don't teach you at university, the practical stuff. So there's all the details. You may check us out. Find me on Facebook. I'm there doing a whole bunch of stuff as well. I think that you know, teachers really can benefit from learning from one another, and that's what Real Schools Academy is about. It's about having a community beyond your classroom or beyond just the teachers you know, where we can really learn and connect in a safe space. And that's something that we need more than ever right now with the way teaching and education is going. And Real Schools Academy is a way that we're doing that. And I'm really excited to lead that and bring it to you and be a part of it. So I'm going to leave you with that. I should have put my email on there. It's amy@realschools.com.au, but everything else is available on one of those platforms. And I really look forward to having you as part of the Real Schools Academy community and team. I think it's a really exciting place to be and start and see how your first year goes. Thank you for jumping on. I hope that this was really valuable to you, and I will see you at another time. I'm going to leave you with that.